Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be reviewing the BOJIANG S1 quadcopter. Now this guy looks like a fun little flyer. I'm going to basically be reviewing it at the park, doing some park flights after we do the initial setup, and also some in-house flights, go through all the modes, test everything out, and see just how this thing did, and come on back to the bench and do kind of a pros and cons, final thoughts. And this is a review model from lighttake.com. I'll have the links in the description. So initially, out of the box, just looking at it, it does kind of remind me of the U807, the Nihui U807 quadcopter that I actually did a review on a while back. And it's got really the same type of design. It just looks slightly different. I actually like the body a little bit better. Just because it kind of looks like it's more of a one piece body on top here, but very similar. And actually, it was 6 grams heavier. Actually, I just measured it on the scale, and it was actually 6 grams heavier. Looks like it has a little bit more of an enclosed motor here, gear assembly, and otherwise everything looks very, very similar. Does look like the props are a little bit thicker, a little bit fatter. And they do have a little bit more of a pitch on them, so I assume that it's going to give us probably a little more lift than the U807 did, so I'm really looking forward to testing this guy out. So anyway, let's just see what we get in the box and do like a initial setup, and then we'll go out and do our testing. So aside from the quad, you get the controller, and this controller, I'm kind of digging this controller. Let me take off this film here real quick. I do like the coloring of it. It's got kind of a silver, gray, and black tone to it. A nice change from the white and like bright orange and fluorescent that I'm used to from other quads. It does take 4 AA batteries. The door is a little bit difficult to open, but that's okay because it won't fall open when you're flying. So I like how it's nice and sturdy. And as far as the controls, so of course you've got your roll and pitch on the right stick here, you've got your yaw and your throttle here, and then you've got your trims for your roll and pitch here, and your throttle trim here, and your yaw trim there. And then the top trigger buttons, basically pushing in the left button is going to take you into your headless mode, and holding it in is going to take you into return to home. And then for your right button, just basically press it in one time, it should beep, and then you can do your flipping from right, left, forward, back. And then down here on the right hand side, you have turning off and on your light for saving power in the daytime. And then this button with these 2 arrows will change your rate of flight for low to start off with, and then you click it again for a high rate, which will give you more pitch and roll for faster flying. And then you've got the camera button. This quad also does come with a camera. We'll take that out in a second. And it's to take a photo snapshot. And then this was to start and stop your video recording over here. And then you have this LCD display. So aside from the controller and the quad, you also get a 650 mAh LiPo battery. This is a 3.7 volt. So this craft actually has a little bit of a tight of a battery, so I'd definitely recommend putting that little tab of tape, just basically a little piece of packing tape, and you just tape it on both sides and then kind of join it here in the middle. Since it is so tight, it's better to have this tab to pull on than pull on the wires, because you might break the wires and damage the battery. So definitely for this model, I would definitely recommend putting on this pull tab. And then we get a couple of bags. The first bag is going to give us 4 props, so very good. We get 4 props, 4 extra props with this one. I always like to have a whole extra set of props. Really appreciate manufacturers that provide a whole new set. We have our charger, just a USB charger you'd plug into any phone charger for the battery. And then of course we have our camera, 2 megapixel camera. We're going to test out how good this is, get some video up and some pictures of how the thing is, and we'll go through mounting that as well. And then we get our set of screws for our prop guards. Here's a little bag of prop guards. Here's a screwdriver, and this is going to be your USB stick for watching your videos on your computer. And then in the camera here we have a 2 GB micro SD card. So in the bag here with the prop guards, we also have some landing gear. So we got our 4 prop guards. Put these on if you're just a beginner flyer, and it will save you from a lot of broken props for beginning how to fly. And these will just screw on right on here. Just put them right underneath here and screw on one screw, which comes in this bag, a little bag of screws here. I'm not going to be putting on the prop guards this time. I would recommend though, if you are, like I said, if you are beginning, go ahead and put those on just to save you some damage. But what I am going to be doing is putting on the landing gear. Looks like all you do is push them in to these 4 little holes on each side, and they push in really tight. So you actually, yeah, it doesn't look like they come with any screw holes on the landing gear. So even if you wanted to screw them in, it doesn't look like you can. But they are really tight, so they're not going to be falling out. Maybe in some major hard crashes, but otherwise they're really tight in there, so no problem whatsoever. Then the camera, basically the camera looks like you just plug it into this little port here. Just make sure the pins line up correctly so you don't damage them. And we're going to push that in nice and tight. And the front of the craft kind of has these little eyeballs, so that's the way you want to point the camera lens. And on the bottom of the camera there's these 2 notches. Looks like you just basically push in. So I'm just kind of bending these in just a little bit, and then let's try that again with the camera. There we go. So you should hear a pop, and both little tabs are in there. So there you go. There's your camera mounted up nicely, plugged in, SD cards in, and looks like this thing is ready to go. And then basically the last thing in the box, of course, is the instruction manual. It goes through all the modes I just explained. Shows you how to insert the batteries into the controller, how to do your basic flight, and troubleshooting, and then of course the parts and accessories. So a real simple little instruction manual. So anyway guys, let's go ahead and charge this battery up and get out there, do some flying, get some flight video from a hat cam, and show the onboard video and some snapshots, and see just how good this thing did, and then come back, do some house flying, also come back to the bench and do a final thoughts, pros and cons. So let's see how it flies. Okay, so we're at the park with the S1, and gonna get a little bit of a park flight with it, see how it does, and see how the video is. Starting video. Okay, I'm gonna go into rate 2. There's a little bit of wind today, a few miles per hour breeze. Go ahead and test the range on this thing. Still in control at about 300 feet. Come on down. Nice little flyer here. Definitely gives the U807 a run for its money. It's able to fight the breeze well. And here's the yaw rate. And also do some indoor flying too, so you can see all the specifics of it. But basically I'm just going to fly out in the bearing I launched from. And then I'm going to click and hold the left trigger. And as you can see, it's coming on back. So it's coming back to the same bearing I launched from. And headless mode, going to be one left click. And we can fly wherever we want in any yaw. And it should go forward, should be forward, back should be back, and left should be left. It looks like it's working pretty good. And auto headless, clicking the left button again. See how our battery's doing. Still got solid lights, so the battery's still good. I'm going to take it all the way up, as far up as it can go. And the battery's probably going to run out, but it'll be cool to get some footage way up here. Probably about 300 to 400 feet now. I got full throttle on the stick. Seems like I'm kind of up in the clouds now. Wow, so the range is pretty phenomenal on this thing. I'm like 500 feet. I'm gonna go ahead and come down now. Just barely on the throttle, coming down. Now I'm gonna let off the throttle completely and see what it does. Okay, back on the throttle. And there's our blinking light. So it looks like the battery's running out. Perfect timing. And there it is. There's our low voltage landing. Wow, that was great. This thing's got some really good stock range. Really impressed. Alright, so let's go ahead and take this in the house, do some house flight, and then go back to the review table and give it a pros and cons and see how it did. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of in-house night flight. Okay, so this is basically trimmed out, and this is it hovering in place in the house in a no-wind environment. Not bad, some slight drift, but pretty good. Here's a thrust test with the camera on. Pretty good lift with the camera, better than I've seen recently. Okay, so just gonna do a quick transmitter shut-off test, see what happens if you lose connection. Shutting off transmitter now. So about 2 or 3 seconds, and then it just drops out of the sky. Good to know. So let's test the rate 1 roll and and tilt. And let's go into rate 2. Okay, so there's only 2 rates. Here's the light button. Lights off. Lights on. It's actually a pretty silent flyer. Pretty quiet. More quiet than most. Alright, let's test the yaw rates. That's the mode 1 yaw all the way. There's the mode 2. So a nice change between the 2 modes. Back to mode 1. There's mode 1. Mode 2. Nice and smooth. I'm going to go ahead and restart in this direction and then test out the return to home and the headless in the house. So I'm going to face it directly facing away from me. Okay, so left trigger is the headless mode. So I'm going to rotate, pull it back towards me. See that fast blinking indicates we're in headless mode. So I'm just rotating full yaw and I'm moving left, right, back, and forward. So headless is doing very well. See if it throws off the bearing the more we spin. Not yet. Seems like it's pretty solid so far. Yeah, still got perfect bearing after all that spinning. And let's try a return to home. You should be able to yep. So you hold in the left trigger for the return to home. So it looked like the return to home and the headless worked fine in the house even when spinning. And it's going into automatic fail-safe landing, and there's the low voltage cutoff. So at least it does a low voltage cutoff, won't damage the battery. Cool. So let's go back to the bench and see how this thing did.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we're back at the bench with the S1 and gonna go through some pros and cons, afterthoughts on this guy real quick. So first of all, this thing had the 2 rates of flight, which seemed pretty good. For 2 rates, they kind of nailed the 2 rates perfectly. Would have liked to seen maybe one more rate, maybe a slower one for beginners for the yaw and pitch, and then medium and a high, kind of like most other quadcopters do. So that's maybe one area they can improve on, just putting in one more rate. This thing had really good lift. Looks like they improved on the U807 type of model. They did improve some on the larger props, and just the overall lift was way better than the U807. It was able to fly at full pitch and keep itself up pretty much level while flying at that speed. Another thing on this thing, it was really quiet, so I really like that about this design is it must be something about the motor and the gearing, the way they do it, and maybe the prop design as well, but these things are really quiet. These are probably the most quiet types of designs I've seen in all the quads I've tested out. So I'm really liking that they're really kind of getting these down to a silent type of flyer. As far as the durability, it seems like from the U807 they did improve on these kind of gear and motor encasings, and I crashed a few times and no problems whatsoever. Very flexible, so if you do crash, it's gonna flex before it breaks. And the flight is really smooth. In the house and no wind, just really a pleasure to fly as far as the smoothness of the whole thing and how it flies and pitches and rolls and all that stuff is really smooth. The jello in the camera is pretty bad. When you have any kind of power on the motors for acceleration, it seems like the vibrations get a little too much for this setup and the camera just gets enormous amounts of jello. And that's kind of the same case that the U807 had as far as the test model that I had. But the U807, I had a burnt motor on a few flights, but this one did fine. I had a bunch of flights with this and no problems with motors or anything at all. And so getting to the range on this guy, the range was phenomenal. I must have gone up about 400 feet or so and was still in full control, testing my pitch and roll while I was up that high, just watching how it kind of went around in the sky. I could kind of barely see it, but still I could tell the control was there. Didn't want to really go any higher because I didn't want it to, you know, lose range and fly away on me before the review was done. But I'm sure this could have even gone higher than about 400 feet. So you definitely get a 400-foot range on this guy, which is exceptional for a stock, non-modified controller and antenna on the quad. So really impressed by the range. As far as flight times go, we're looking at 7 minutes and 30 seconds until the low voltage flashing lights with the camera on and recording, and then another 30 seconds until it goes into the auto fail-safe landing. It did have a low voltage cutoff, so if you did have the throttle on when the batteries ran out and it went down, it would shut off the motors to prevent damage from your battery, which is a good feature. And then without the cam, the flight time was interestingly only another 15 seconds, so I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just this camera setup is so light and uses so little power that it didn't really make much of a difference. But anyway guys, I hope you liked this review and I hope it helped you decide if you wanted to pick one up or not. Again, this is a review model from Lightake.com, and I'll have the links in the description of where you can pick up this great flyer. I'm really impressed with this one. I think I'd rather have this one probably than the U807. So anyway guys, please like, subscribe, and comment. And also, if you're interested in these kind of reviews, I do a bunch of reviews, so check out the channel and you might be interested in some other quads, hexes, action cameras, all that kind of stuff I review. So anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.